yema yeho akwaba afe yedu asam kesiye so. It is our tradition that every morning we table one very important issue and discuss. And then your friend asam kesiye. Edu baby a yebeje mre na wososo wetimi afre na wachre wadwene. Na ene yehwe kebi mamin kebi. Democracy. We are asking ourselves, has democracy failed us? Kebi mamin kebi. Edi ehwamo ana. And to do this discussion with me is a very good friend and a brother who is no stranger to Asem Kesiye and to WTV. Mr. Peter Wonders, who is a senior lecturer with the African University of Communication, Ghana. African University College of Communications, AUCC. Yeah. AUCC. Peter, you're welcome.
I'm grateful.
Na unda muti saying
award no adaroma wasan adom ye bi ama de pa bi ache na se oda ho na wote kokuruku a na kire se ewurade asan ahummobo se san ebeto aso ne onyoma pa na nya akwanya esra obo ne fache na twe ho fi obo ne mu na okra no atumi anya enkwaje nti na se nkuto na edema ewurade Yehowa se anope wasama ya hodin biem abetena
yadase we dem se o qualify cra se o beye osempakani
na o ka se me qualifier osempakani a osanka o ka se bishop number 1 because anope se o hwe se na matumi apusu mi nsem no mu a ekwa na bishop kasa am a bishop prekope but osempakani o se anope me ba BBC ye ena me hunu se obi ka se ontumi nka nyame asem a na wabɔ ne trimu pɔ sɛ ɔnyɛ
ka no nka
anopa mi sɔre pie me ka sɛ nti no me ba ande nyame adawro ma me bubu musa mabedu ha me pie fi mi dan mu adu akwan mu sɛ me peka me hwɛ ya obi apakeka ka to bi asi ɔsɛ bra o bra o kwan na me so me kɔ Accra o so transam mi kosi na metena ase nti na me pesa me ye me ethics no eye adwuma kakara nti metena me di mankasa
okay
metima di on se ye fugu wonya she fugu ye obiarum se be ka kramoni nti hono ma na obisa me se asore be na wokɔ na me se papa no be so preach me na me so mpacho charismatic sorry bia na me so me ko bi no fe di obisa me nsem me yi na no fe se o preach me na me ka se nti ye Christopher ekuta private cars aso anapa bia na se ekɔ adwuma no ye fo baako fo kro tena ka mu odbo ne ni bi ne ye kan Yehowa asem tere no aso onya adwensa tere na
okay
nsi enya daje enkwa bonten ko kanyame asem a anapa se ekɔ adwuma fa even one soul na kanyame asem tere no wan hwa obenya adwensa tere enti owura efa no se ye fa no jaba okay ko Pentecost ewo adanta frafra foster home hono hono so kwa sori wo
enti obesi wa se ope okra no ne na kasa wo
fa ope okra no panyi se bia da bi no ya mi o preach mi atwe mi ama Kristo anu woni ne buta enti wo se ade oda to tinta no pa bia no kwa adwuma no afa obi asi ne ka mu ene odi bedu bia obesi no no preach wo wi enti me so masua
okay
se basa kona minya ya me ma on left preach wo
okay yeah, the radio asina ni di ni biem.
I see a friend who Jaba. I was Pentecost here. I was a dental for foster home.
Okay.
I was
Jaba baby. I will be ano. A radi in shroud. This is a lesson to all of us. Said yes, for nipa ba akwetena wokamu neka onyankopon asamo etreno. We are on Sorena Shrine, Asem Kesiye so. Yeah, brother Peter Wonders ene wahi. Peter, ene kabima min kabi. What is democracy?
Sir, ubisa se kabima min kabi dienya. Say tree mono kradi. Say eno wankasa etre ne bobre.
Okay.
Say obeka wadwene ana me nso ma de yi maka me me nso ma dwene o ma me akwanya ma me kasa me kire ne ametumi ma ye ne o mi tirimu ana won so wo kire wo de enti saa ka ba mi nka bia okay me pese me de ko free baby free ba ye e free Athens Greece na omo wa de bia pese marketplace of ideas so ye kuhia as akwankwa nnua ase won omo wo osuahunu ana se o ma propound some theory ana se o ma nya osuahunu bi no ye betena akwankwa nnua ase na wo sofo wo de wadwene aba na me so me de madwene aba ya pense mu ahwe se dia wo ka enya me so me ka no hwan na ne de ewom ana se hwan na ne de ye fa aye adwuma na ya de ya fa so ahu eno na endade di mu akwa wura amanyosem mu ende ye wo bibi e frɛ ne sei kabima me nka bi amambuo enti kan wo de na me so me nka me de na temanmufuo no ye nhwɛ ne nipa a ɔka asɛm papa ana ɔkyerɛ adwen papa na ye nto no so tonto na se owini a na se odinkunimu a wabedi yanim ewo emberetia bi mu odi wi a na obofoforo nso asa be kan adwene onso ne de yi a ne afa ne de ekɔ anim nti ubisa mia asekyerɛ ketwe a we don't know
yo na mepese ye behwe eye kabima minkabi no ne farby ne mpompon so de wa kyerɛ ne abakɔsɛm a etaato se eye Greece ho ne fi baaye se eye philosopher fo ahia na ye didi nkomo na we kyerɛ nadwen na we kyerɛ nadwene ohoro mpese mbisa se enti so obi kyerɛ nadwen na se obi kyerɛ nadwen a ye de sansem mienu ne ye kari ne de sinsani ani a ye wo obi otimi ka se we nu wawi ni ana we nu wafaye democracy na sam American ye Greece mamu na American
ani ye osusu dua eretoto ho se osimasi asema okan die ye pese se enye se bia okokọ kan wasem no wasori
ko so wo kasakra
debi nye se bia ofo se wo ye philosopher wo nya kotra no kan wasem na akọ ye pense se no mu ya obi we bisa question na saafo no bisa sa questions yi na ye won a omunim de ma kwadre ewo nsemu ana se dada setena mu ye be bisa questions otumi yi sansamfo na no a nya hu sa mpa ye de wasem to skills wa emu odu nti ye mfa wo de no enna emantina ye se nipa bebre e de omo adwene e baaye ana se omo de omo nsamfo ebeba na emum nsamfo na eba the marketplace of ideas no any na etumi stand the test of time nse wasem no ibie animu anasa nwubie animu a ne atoto baabi na nasam ya de ne afa ne ekoye anim sana na etie.
Okay, so in other words, democracy is a process where two or more are able to share ideas and be able to weigh which of the ideas will carry the day in terms of which one can be implemented to help the people.
Of course, yes.
All right, now let's now bring it into politics. Nientia me share dama o san ko ho biemu say akwakodu mpompon so bia ye de yenye wa ha ne de eno aso wo kasa trada sa enyina so bia nim ezan say yes won kasa enti no aso wo kasa sa e ba ne sen na democracy aba be wura amanyosemu na afi wo de aba bedu eye bibrem ha. So obviously democracy is fairly new to Africa, looking at how many years it has been practiced in other places. Ebane se na aba bi wura yenso Africa bibrem ha ye wi ani aba Ghana.
Se obi ka se afei na democracy aba Africa me no ye nya adwen.
Okay.
Ana me nji ntum se kwase bodi na de democracy ade ba Africa. Okay. Africa no, we had our form of democracy. So oka se governance ana me ka se Africans so the form of governance and so na kwasi bro ni ye de eba wa hu se na ye believe ewo ahensan mu these kingdoms into na nya 𝗙𝗶𝗹𝗶𝗰𝗆 kingdom
na se na kasa obi antimi nkasa
na me be o pese o yi asem no fi ma no eno na ye de be wura democracy mu ani ye nya no.
Okay,
what would I mean no enti ye de no this odo kingdom Benin kingdom, 𝗙𝗶𝗹𝗶𝗰 kingdom, Ashanti kingdom no na ye san eno ne ye de na democracy no tere se wodi wie say 1,000 years kwa na sabe obetina konwa no so ade awia nanom be fra wo se ko wanchi na se nanom mo na betoa wa henie no so wonsama asama ndo a ansa na obi a edien abehya wona mu. That was the form of our democracy.
All right.
Abusuapani ene ohima nana hima betena se ya kan etiasim so Kofi Kwame yaw ane ye de ye pɛ no na ye de obedi ade ntudi ade na wie na se nyame adi hu afofie 40 years and 50 years na se wu a ne asasa koto obi so foforo so tonto no so abeto aso be mbra kwasi broni ba ye no on the system of governance or the democracy and broni democracy di ba Africa no and a mistake na eba ye mbra ye transit from our kingship and our kingdom to the new model, and I said the emerging and a popular culture of democracy make us free at times I buy a honor from so free by okay ye to ya de na twene ene ko fa kwasi broni ade enti mbra ko fa kwasi broni ade no eba ye no ne ye feel say ano na bedi aboa ye esa ne say broni na bedi ye so ache ama at a point in time na your culture no near a crank African
yo ye be ko your culture ni mu ne ya ba na afe ye de aba be si eye amanyoye emu ene no ne mpomponso and you ahwefo ye bi say won say kabi democracy has it failed us, and that is what we are discussing. But we want to be able to historically situate democracy in context. In looking at the historiography of a year democracy, ye di hun komoi enona ye papa Peter Wonders or di efi ye Athens Greece no wa dia ba bi ra ye bibrim ha. Now Peter, I want us to be able to analyze a little bit our form of democracy. So they also yen ye de. Na yen form of democracy no one do baby etumi wura busuam waka busuam pani de. Afi so create mi wura eye woyere ene wokunu ntem emma ene papa ntem ana emma ene maame ntem se papa kasa wo bia nka bi wo pani edware a na kire sensuo kra asan wo fie. What is this single thing that makes our form of democracy unique, and what are the flaws?
Obisa we sa question here. Ye wo enna ma obuo eba efie enna ma obuo eni osuro eba abusuapani ho enna ma obuo eba ohene ho obi ntumi nsore se mikotu ohene bi ahenie agu
no so si ho ndi osi ho onipa baako wo wu ya obi anya bi akonya ni
ye to no so ba wan sore keke na kwotena ho
ohene no ye to no so aba
of course yes
enyo ohima bi na yi no besi ho
eno ne abato no. Okay. That's our system of voting. And it was our system of voting. And then your himankwa and okanitisim.
Okay.
Obama kuro mu say ya. Nkonya ya se be to e be che ohene ya. Ye di ohene no asomako abusuapani nchen. Se abusuapani ye akonya bi atore. Ye hia obi abaya de abetena akonya no so. Na ya power committee ewo ufie na committee no ayi nipa miensa. Ye yi ba ko nipa miensa. Ne da koma ohene no ohene nso ni na busua ne na pamfo so atena se ne ahwe miensa no mu okay the miensa ne baaye ye should do down we dey empe no mo ma from machine na 9 nti the trade ne ba ne da koma adonte hene say ye penipa miensa we first of a choice here osimasi second choice here we third choice here we nti uko wanya we ya chi we so say to so ba wi ne abeche nti e ba ne e benya
ne nipa ba akokra na de bia ya dwene sim
mama mu ye sanate ye yi nipa 3.
No, I think say it might not even be ukwaho because invariably we have ye ba be cho hene a ye tu agina edin miensa enite mi ba na fe ya hwehwem into say yes we nya ye be si ni hene o we nya ye be fa ni hene o enti now I am beginning to realize say we have indeed practiced democracy.
Of course yes.
But when me say ya antu ni din democracy ni de broni de no akata so nti e ba ne sena say kwesi broni de aba be kata so. How come the western form of democracy has overshadowed our African Ghanaian form of democracy?
We were dehumanized. We were told
send sense unti
ya say ye ka kire yen say ade bi etuntum bia enye broni be di ye so no wa ma. It's like we lost our self esteem. Say o pese me twas no me bie ye bie wani a Egypt.
Okay.
The Kasa civilization and the bie every abibiri ha na ba ye. Na he na fi ase free ye Egypt. But see and now me no to hwe. Be brunanim say the real Egyptians no omo yakokofo. Me so be no nim say they were not whites. And we are blacks. Till today, yes, I were black Egyptians. I call southern part of Egypt, you know. Before, and the real Egyptians, not blacks, no emigrated here. If we must have in the answer, the Arabs see a better now. That tells you, say, and then before no more, media and come once them into a calm. They have lost their humanity. They've lost the quality now. You can say, way be you, oh my. And then me no tell Ghana may mukura so e kwan bi so yaira enti broni ba di so tell no e ma ya hunim ene self esteem no ho e be yira yen ama ye be je kwasi broni form of governance and democracy no eden e be tu mu na emra agi tu mu no ya nhwe e kwan ye be fa so a ankane de na ode ba ye no ye be sone so ne ya hwe kwan ye be tumi de no so de asisi ani aga so ke aha nya yi ha mfirim aha so ye yen fa we so ye de emeka we mu ane eto ye de no chene ye ene ko fa no de no be si ho nti be hunu se de no ye ntumi enso mu yi ye nti there was what you call me friend said a rift in culture. Rift in existing culture and emerging culture. Now, emerging culture, no make I say, kwesi buroni democracy no. And my friend said the emerging culture. Okay. And the existing culture no. And only yenya bi mu ha. Ye culture yo and sana emerging one ye dey e ba ye. So now no ye conflict sa two no. Ye hunu say ye wo the old culture no and I say we are moving towards the emerging culture. And you say ye to obiso tonto. No obedi hene kura na so obedi o mampani a wo be hunu se abibiri mu democracy no epese ye de ewie no what eno na obitumi kasa o mi papa kura edi ade pen wadi o mampani pen encheche na ache e wo se me so me ye de me di o mampani essence of say ya hindie and yet we to obi so ba ye odi aba no wie na se wo se o tu free so a no say no I was say 4 years but yen sansesa emrenani na mintimi ensan entena so biom wombreko a ne mbre ade aso okay ebiom me no win na ya adwe say what we na tena kuase pen fine woni mpefe say obofo ko ahayo na se okum aboa titiru aboa kase biara ye o party bia e yo hene dia I hope you remember that.
That's right.
Good. And the partner your hene dia no. So we nim now the ones kan. One shot ye twasu. Efi o man mu. E o mu so hene na ni wati amfa nko e kwai brentuo no mu. Na mo so wonya kum sa abo ne dia. Part no the trinity. Enye wo dia. E your hene dia. And you be say na no the fatty part of a meat no your hene dia. And in our democracy no the fatty part of the national cake no no about 4% inside the boom. It's gonna say yeah existing and a current and our old culture no the emerging democracy no. Okay. And you know of pre of form of and your tone say or do GRA or do some so or do how some so not why the person often be behind the echo na afa and then man uko Côte d'Ivoire Laurent Gbagbo ya to abawie a wadi wo mbra wie so the free so o say men so Ali Bongo ko he de esi wo ho hwania esi so e wo Benin
Togo Ivory Coast de na Togo e beba Togo but Ivory Coast de na ya ne du ba bi a e me ngongo isan say de ono de animu say akoye ntu no na de oye no enye kama ono so baaye
ai already a chance of
already a chance of
I make say there is confusion oh yen to me entrance from our former governance no and the current governance system of governance yen say yadwen say kingdom ahindie enti of say ma benya betra so yidie say menya so free so pa e wo say me ba enso be di ade ona be cheno enti you free say that attains form of governance and as a democracy na obeka wadwene na me so maka madwene no e wo say oba no ekọ the marketplace of ideas e ho any baby obekọ edwom e wo ka wasem akere timamufo no ma oba no so ko obi I can asem say say no fe no we asem ne unsa sama ni pa na ka no eto asuma ni atoma no enye say me na ye dankwa enye say me na ebuzia me na dombo nti tira ache no e wo say me di ade papa na Rollins chichina ache me na ne Rollins no afa ne Rollins
CPP asini
chichina ache wo say me di ade wo me ko say me kafra say me previous me family from
afeni eba amanyosemu afeni eba amanyosemu
ni ko ti ewu say de nkwa na chichina say si na de so chichina si ade no but say mai mu a say eni ma boni nkuti na obedi e say say wo fa bi ni na bi na papa bi nti akoma Ghana man ama Ghana nyafa ho de nti no say nyansa bi ade ni timu a chichina say ni si ade de esi ade so eni mo yen
enti natural say
enum ja no obra enum ja no
kabi mami kabi no kabi mami kabi no amoyen
ya hu enkurem se hu kurem mu a nke boye esan se aman bi de ya adwuma ama aboa won so me make say if indeed we want democracy then we should have the African form of democracy.
All right,
we should define democracy in our own context. And never come of women get you more. My sound of uncle.
All right. Ashafo ojano na asem kese so. Peter wonders what so jano. And none of Pobetana said the na pampamu 1850. Oh no na pampamu pa so snake hu nyina different say ne. The besi studio. But we want to quickly welcome our friend, our brother Shandof Pakwesi. Pakwesi, you are welcome.
Yeah,
Pakwesi.
thank you.
How have you been from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday?
It's just been very tiring. Yes, but everything went well.
Okay.
Everything was perfect.
Okay.
And of course, to you too, thanks for coming as you promised.
Sure.
Yeah, everything has been very smooth. Just that we are all tired. Everybody is very tired.
Yeah.
So we are.
But we are grateful you still made it to come and join us. I hope that then somebody also came because a year the ones you are done and it doesn't come. It brings more stress.
Yeah, it brings a lot
even
of stress.
than when the body was there. But we will talk about it behind us.
Na say a year to and you won't bonds and one won't buy when you one some come to joining bomb pass a man showed top and say, way. Nay, ya so direct to Yakuta and name who said, be a becosono. Oh, but we missing time. We catch it out, say, shut up, the master. I don't miss no down. Why was he saying,
McCoy.
Miss, now, Miss, or Miss Head, they wouldn't be a bomb pie. I took from one medium man.
Oh, well done.
Enough of say oh say you papa ewusana o koba but we want to welcome you especially to the studios and back to work. We have been discussing democracy. I don't know whether you have a definition for democracy according to you. Before I'll ask the second question, has democracy failed us? What is, in your opinion, democracy?
For me, democracy is basically what all of us think it is, a government for everybody. But from what we have experienced over the years, I think now I like to look at democracy from a different perspective.
Please.
As not a government or not a system for everybody. It's a select few who are reasonable. I think that is how we should, define our democracy.
So it's not everybody at all who can just voice an opinion out.
In a democracy, no. I think that is the problem.
Can be mamin can be
no. If we Sebi, no disrespect, not all the fingers are equal. Okay, in life you won't have balance all the time. Even if it comes to reasoning, not everybody can reason. Sensibly. So if you, with all due respect, so if you create a system where you say every opinion matters, the problem is that now you will be...
Let's say not everybody can reason intelligently. Let's put it that
good,
way.
intelligently. Yeah. So if we all agree that everybody cannot reason intelligently, why do we want to create a system that factors every opinion? Because by all means, we will end up having situations where some opinions are rubbish, I mean, not so intelligent that we cannot work with. And that is what has been the problem with our democracy. The fact that everybody thinks their opinion must count. That is the problem. Not every opinion must count. For example, you are professionally...
So I am a voter. I have gone to vote. It means that my kukurumuti is on a ballot. I'm being able to aid in bringing a certain government into power. Don't I have the right to also talk?
No, you have the right to express your opinions, of course, but it must be it must not be absolute. Okay, it mustn't. Let me just use an example.
Right.
You happen to be a medical doctor, for example. So if it comes to issues about human anatomy and health and all of that, you are an authority compared to the two of us. However, if maybe something is happening to, for example, my brother here, I can have an opinion on it. Maybe, for example, he gets up one morning and maybe his hand is swollen or something. I may have an opinion based on something I have read or something I know. But that opinion, by all means, cannot be superior than your perspective on the matter. Why? Because you are the expert. I'm just a layperson. So if it comes to decision making on what is going through, I shouldn't be part because I am not so much of a refined expert.
So is it not the same thing? I mean, before you came, we're talking about the fact that the Westerners have come to create a certain class system where the classes are separated from the masses. So a medical doctor can say something, a lecturer can say something, a journalist of a certain repute can say something. But when a common journalist comes to say it, it is not really taken. Are we not classifying human beings?
We have to. Because human beings indeed are not the same. That is why we have to classify them in the very first place.
Okay.
It's nature that actually does the classification. It's not of our own will. Because if you put 10 people in a room, all of them will reason differently. But the reason for democracy is to make society grow. So opinions that don't advance the growth of society, why should we embrace it in the very first place? So for me, I look at now, if I could, and that is almost tilting to autocracy, but it's fine. We shouldn't have a system that accommodates every opinion because the people are part of those who are governed, because they are the affected masses, therefore they must have an opinion. The opinions must be filtered. That's the reason you wake up in the morning, now you go to social media everywhere, and everybody is saying what they want to say, just like that, and it is clustered. Those who are being sensible are there, those who are being other, and we are mixing up everything. I think the division must be very, and me, if you're looking at the tenets of democracy, apart from having a free and fair, having consistent free and fair elections and all of those things, a vibrant constitution, you also need a thriving media. Look at the media, for example. Right now, as we sit, any human being at all in Ghana can wake up and then build an online news platform. They can publish anything they want to publish, whether it is true, it is false, it is decent or not. And all of this is in democracy. It shouldn't be that way. We should be able to, tighten it a little so that you can't just get up and run a media house. Now, if you go to social media, for example, look at the number of bloggers we have. It's all about having a microphone and then maybe blah, blah, blah. Then you set up, you are passing comments. And what we fail to recognize is that these things, they make people think, okay, so if I come, I'm watching, I'm forming an opinion, I'm learning. It's forming the bulk of our, social perspective, how we think. That's why we must be able to. So I was even advocating that, look, I would be happy, the media being one of the tenets of democracy, I'll be happy if maybe from next year we say that, look, before you be a journalist, you see the way if you want to be a lawyer or a medical doctor, you have to be licensed and all of that. Even journalists, let's begin to license them properly so that if you don't have it, you can't practice. After a period, we must now review your license. Okay, what did you do around this time?
And this is done
blah,
in
blah,
other
blah.
places.
Yeah, so that, because if it's all about everybody talking, sorry to say, I can get drunk and go and talk because I have the microphone. That's democracy. So the asset test for me is what we are doing. Is it, helping society to grow? If it's not helping society to grow, it's not democracy for me. So for me, it should be filtered opinions. It should be. The class system must be. I support that absolutely.
Okay.
You
are for the stratification. Stratification. All right, Peter. Has democracy failed us, whether stratified or whether the African form of democracy, has it failed us? as Ghanaians, as we sit now?
To a large extent, yes. It has failed us.
A dear Ramo, Kabima, me can be a dear Ramo.
Open so first one we could
Not a balance.
Okay, make us say a dear Ramo. Oh, a crime be so. And a boy and so, a crime be so.
Okay, in the end, shall say if you baby are born because they be a honor, a bit shot.
A boy ama and then yen two a buying engu. Ewo omaimo. Now here a mania ye two a maingua. A sign Emma omo development no. Make I say a coat nechi. And say ko put the chia ko pimwa. And so na assign abandoning. Into Buni say or one be two a banyegu na echo. And then what
to share the AC Mali, Burkina Faso, any Niger and Semia.
Endimwa but then no a honso so osha sania na omonso ni enti am go tu aban no gu ane so
omu nyina so
mo di tu anyina so se wote a eto asum na mum se ohwe about development nso a retarded development nti yohwe Ghana ha no a meka se wo sa akwan no so no na a develop enipa bebre that's human capacity amene me transna me bomb me ni kompo hwe won a me mo start student politics be mo du a na bohu se democracy no
aboa se hanum sa
kwan bi me to me so ko Osman Yarega Sami Benfo na Francis Abuaje Louisa Ajemai and Fatih Abubakar. So okay and
make so na ye presido no.
There be omono na
omudi manimu.
There be omoye nukes. National Union of
Nukes. Okay.
But say what the SRC so a ye wo edom bebre wo meka say Ewurade apagya omo akọ omanim. Enti meka say okwan bi so no aboa.
Okay.
Aha. Na se e ba ehwe bebia meka say democracy a high no a eno ne empempeso amidi na me illustrations bi e kira wo say wo hwe Ghana man mu a akwai say ohene a ote akonya so adodode aban bi emma ya obeka say scandals for no na empembe bebre hu say yedi a sabe nkum nifa nyina na edie yedi nyina na eme na ye pese ye kasa ekata etoa na ya pagya to oman ajapadie mu ya tonton oman ajapadie afa na mini ho ansa na kwa nkroma mre so ye nwo me na se meta kakra machine say about 300 factories and or such for kwa nkroma eba ye ebenwene ye ene ni nyina wan ya ton adi aban ba na waton wa asema fom afa na me kire wo say obofo akọ ahayo akokuma boa na bebia srade no ewo no ene de ma ohene eno na ene omampan bia betena so a ono so srade afam opeso ofom ye de efa hwe ye tire bia foreign affairs tema station epeja to mu nti se obi ba na se o se hona abo ne ti wo ha onye twa bo ne ti wi a na opeja to hwe diare bia wo cycle yi epeja tum hwe tema ye from the drugs bank ense epeja tum eriba bi so ase enye ba bia ampeja nto na ye enibere ko wura market ye peja tum ne market women na se ko pesika bi photo bi momo no mutumi de yi onye hu sa na hu se ho na bo ne tie de ehye so enti wakwan bi so no democracy haye obi di boni abon se wo se ne begina embra anim tete mbra mu so heni anim kwame ya te se wakoto obi mu na wo se de wo sa kwan yi so wo kwame why se wo se de wo twa so wo sa yi so no begina wo for the court won na press fa ne ko horo nipa no to wodi asem no we dey no pa die mesre ayi for ya judge so mu hu mabona mentumi entwa kakra nipa no say ya go court we du horo na nipa dey dey etewo eko onim se me du horo mu a ye be twate me nfa me ko ho ala ko nipa no se wadi bone a ti ye ka ya sabkase so dem maminka me ma enfan to kakra na no owura Martin Amidu aha emre be ya no a special prosecutor
yeah.
Na me kai say the first 3 months sa say me kan ya na me ti pai me kan ya da me ti pai me onya bom ba ko pe minister sapia ba MP saba mpacho sika bia me di ye bia no I say Zacchaeus mpacho me de ba so kai ebimo de salaries mienu bi ama owura matamidu nya kam ba ko no they were ready to pay my jelion sika na ekowie sen ene Martin na we da bem yom ne ete se obi afu ni pemu ba Ghana man mu se ka se o he me ma de sika na ban ma me kwanya na me ntua biom we hear it again ya wo se e fa kwan bi so ani o ni pa do ya hwehwe mu a ne ho son sika so no wadi ne atwa me nsu no mu kase ne se si atwa abo ne ti a ohene so ne nua bi wo ba bi a na wayi abo no e bi a ne ba bi se fa koma me nua yi no so endi bi ekwanya no so fa so wure democracy mu ne se nipa no awi abo ne ti awie no na watam kai no o de kwa aburuchire akoto ne futuom ama ne ma annanom omo ba ye abadi nto ba hu se wo a me na wo ti yi no se wo tu hiamu na Yehowa ampaya ne nsa anyi obakofo amfim ama na mbetwe nkaifo a wo betire hia no mu akosi awieye nto ba hu se African democracy and for that matter Ghana democracy no emma asikafo ye asikafo anadefo ye adefo and hiafo so no they will continue to be poor.
So you think democracy has failed us? Shandoff, is it not the case that those who are crying are not getting some of the money? Well, sometimes people think that if people were getting some to chop, they would keep quiet. I don't know what Peter would do, but he didn't take up the role of a politician, but he always speaks as a politician. If Peter was giving money,
Papa, politics me come me time so ya me.
O do bago.
Me na si, that be unya kasa na say, u twa masu no.
Who lesi u boot?
Me na si me boot, encha bia ba say me na mama so dede. Na ba te me nka. Ya dia drink say pa na bu o man no. Me ka bia.
Well, say we are advocating that Christians should go into politics. And so if one of us is going in, who push you? Just that don't be unnecessarily partisan. But that's what I'm saying. Is it not the case to say people are not getting some to chop? And I have observed a little bit critically, say, when people are getting a share of the meat, or before ako they keep quiet, they do not talk. But once they feel deprived, do you think our democracy has failed us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let me align with everything that he has said.
Yes.
Really, there's nothing new for me to say. Democracy it's because of how, first of all, we conceptualized it and how we operate it within our jurisdiction, especially, of course, let me limit it to Ghana.
Okay.
Now, you make a valid point when you say that normally when people are enjoying, they don't lament. When they are the other side, that's basically how democracy here in Ghana is. So I think a few weeks ago or so, the NDC staged a press conference, blah 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 blah. Okay, the government is not doing it, blah 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 blah. Anytime I'm watching those press conferences, I get the impression that these people are thinking very, very well. And so when you read some of the statements and their suggestions to government and everything, you are very impressed. You are thinking, how come they have all these wonderful ideas and all of that? Until you go and watch a tape,
when they were in power,
on a similar issue, and you are asking yourself, so how come all of a sudden they have become righteous in a matter of how many years and all of that? Basically, that's the thing. When you are involved, you see no evil, you hear no evil, and then you say no evil. But the moment you come out, that is when you become very pious and you are looking at things from a very patriotic perspective. That's the kind of democracy we have. So it's all about, it's not a democracy that is hinged on conviction. It's about convenience. What appeals to me is what I would, embrace at a particular point in time. So that is one of the reasons why it has failed us. About whether or not people really change, I think the system is in such a way that if you are godly, it would stifle you. If you try to be an exception, you would not have it easy at all. Okay, because it's a system. So if you enter and then maybe, for example, you've been given an appointment, you want to be very, because we are working with a group of people. For example, the president has to travel. We are supposed to make his budget estimates and all of that. Okay, and we say, oh, maybe we are 10, we are on the trip. The protocol officer handling the visas and everything says that, okay, you are all entitled to ABC, blah, blah, blah. Imagine you are part of them and you say, oh, well, we don't need that much money as a per diem or whatever. And you may be doing that because you want to save, the money in the national coffers or blah, blah, blah. The moment you do that, from an experience somebody shared with me, you will never be part of the next trip, because then you'll be drawing the attention to the fact that what are you doing? We are traveling. I will go with the president. We've given you this one. Take it and let's go. Are you now going to talk? So when you try to be an exception, the system will push you out. A typical example, we made mention of 𝗙𝗵𝗎𝗄𝗧. I even want to focus on.
Let me bring our viewers to speed. Then you can continue from 𝗙𝗵𝗎𝗄𝗧, because he appears to be a person who is really fighting that systems will work. And we are saying our systems are not working because democracy has failed us. Therefore, yewo eye asem kesiye so. Now, yeshe mo boss say every Thursday we are going to dedicate asem kesiye to discuss amanyosem and semwa ekoso ewo manimu. Now, you will realize that for all my discussants, none of them is directly affiliated to any political party. Now, but you also will know, say, these people are also very sound Christians who profess their Christianity and Christ everywhere. Now, we are discussing politics without political party colors. And ye can say the tie, ni achiano, ye mansusu ye de betene no. Na afi di atene so ye mansusu ye because we ejina ho. Now, we are not deviating completely from not discussing political matters, but we are discussing political matters by staying within the context of Christianity to endorse the fact that a Christian can equally share his or her opinion and not necessarily wearing political colors. Shandoff, you were concluding on 𝗙𝗵𝗎𝗄𝗧, then I can come to Peter and ask him about a certain personality. What about 𝗙𝗵𝗎𝗄𝗧?
Yeah, I was saying that somebody like 𝗙𝗵𝗎𝗄𝗧, who decided to be an exception in the fight against, corruption and all of that, look at what happened to him in the long run. He now came out to say that, look, the kitchen was too hot for me to stay, and then he left. Another gentleman in the person of 𝗙𝗵𝗎𝗄𝗧, he didn't resign. The system literally had to push him out. And now, much recently, look at even our own special prosecutor now had to come and say that what he blah 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 blah. So anytime you see somebody who is trying to make in journalists who have fought corruption, look at people like Manasseh Azuri, and the moment you attempt to break out of the system, it will come for you. Okay, so if we even have to address it in the long run, and that's why a lot of people have called for a total dissolution of the system, so that we even go into under a military junta, because they feel that that one, I don't want to advocate for, of course, anything, but it's easier to control. I feel the opposite of democracy is very easy to control comparatively, because if you are the head of state and you are the one who has been entrusted with all the powers, okay, and you are ruling us from a military perspective, we can trust that everything is coming from a single source. It's easier to detect, but democracy too sometimes is very, very winding. For example, if I even do a documentary or a heavy publication on corruption and all of that, it would have to go through a lot of processes. The courts will have to come in. Look at Major Mahama who was killed. Look at the number of years it has taken for justice to find. And all of this is what makes democracy deficient. The bureaucracies and the protocols are just too much. So first of all, the systems are not working. If you attempt to be different, the forces will push you out. We have so many protocols and bureaucracies and all of that. That's not working. And if you also want to bring in the opposites, as in having a military junta and all of that, that one too has some negativities. But comparatively, based on the little I have seen and all of that, I would say we should look for a blend. There should be a blend of a sort between democracy and autocracy, where we would not really have so much freedom. Will be, tight elite. I don't know how we can call that, but there should be a kind of hybrid.
That should be the African system of democracy.
So that's what he's advocating.
Maybe that's what we can do. We can't go all democratic. We simply cannot go all democratic. It's not something that has.
All right, I'm going to Peter. I want you to be thinking about how media has also not helped us in democracy, because you are a journalist. But Peter, deɛ nka meba baby sɛ no an odi twa to sɛ o anope nyina wo sɛ Africa deɛ no ɛne kwasi buruni deɛ no yɛnka momu ne nyina mfinimfini. Now, are we not returning back to the same thing you spoken again? Say, obi betena so, nuwu ni aka say, ono na konwa no betimi dia man wo fa asibi.
Say, me nua Shandoff kra asan abehye asem America no, wa hye ne ma.
Okay.
E kire say, ono a ontumi nkire say yenko total authoritarian. Ana ono so nka say yenko total democracy. Eno na me nka say the African system no. Amira ye sone na transit free our kingship echo a democracy no. Bibi wo ho a eyira yen a yentumi anya de am na edi enya. Ne say yentumi am blend yen Africa system of governance any possible system of governance and the edi enya enti ene to abama obi a na medical na boroboro so no ono a na dwuma ne kesene onim say ono a democratic leader ono so onim say oye African leader and also onim say oye autocratic and as authoritarian leader nti why say na dwuma ne basa nti ti otiso no ohunu hwe enti manage am na sound of air ka say nipa ne gira bonten a ni suonko no wini so a ni suonko and medical magazine in Athens amokotra kwankwa nua ase ni e share ideas no a wo wadwene mu do ene ye fa won samuka but enne no wo say nipa ne gira bonten a na dwene mu ye de edo but say wo de man no a esane enema ekoso ho hwe obi adi bone a wo say atwe na so no na ohene bia asori aba oh emene na wo ni mo na we yo na we
Africa die ya wo si yenya ya ina esa ba okay
tetemre mu no so hene kasa na ye twa wuti a na ye twa wasu a ye twa wasu otie me na efa no na na brakatu sabi o efa menteme ho asem bi ba yo ne ohene ntem na me say oye mistake ne nsa ekoto na nasum
ai kobo na nasum
obo nasum ni bufu ye ahon we can so
if you say akro no so me phone line see na we are expecting your text messages said ye be ya so what question bi a baby sa eye ma bedwafo baby so mo kabi mami kabi amamuo ni no yoye ene ne farobai na dwasuo edi e hwamo ana. Has democracy failed us in all its aspect? Has the systemic aspect of democracy failed? Was it supposed to be practiced? Yem nananom de edebre yen enam nananom so mabedwafo ise nke yen ka momu ni enyina mfimfini tie de nananom de to fa ne de kwasi bruni de so atofa ne enyina mfimfini. I want us to discuss this together, and your lines are open 0256253461 0256253461. Ni enim komo na eye question wo feel say minya misaye no bisa abedwafoi na omomfa enjiremu embro koso na wo se ona na ye twenesu eyehu
o peja ne sa na nasum sawa
eni esa wo sheda
da de kufu wanya wotre o man ne sa so a hene sum sew ho no man na twenesu
besi ne
etwanesu em say du bempenso bi na nasa enya enu no ho na say onya onya do bi ma
so so mo ye busua
na osan efra so onsan bre fie anu kro ba fie kra no ono ba fitra fie so no ma bo makude na otwa masu no me ko ba kuda bi go forest no mu ho enti mesan ma kotena ho na egbo mu no me kotena ho ne nte se mafiri wo nchen ho na ekonya bumbula.
Manya Francis Nyamia opese obisa question. O kasa fi eye gomu ache ase. Question ben pa na da wa no apese obisa.
So from pastor me da se Erade Shramo. Anape mezi no nshada nya asem bisa. Or contribution kakra na mpede me make.
Okay.
Yeshe za ebegofor kanya. Amude tseten amembu mo tsetsede obinya wabro bi abo a opedo twa bi koma ne nuanom naze na fi yepede yezin system ba how democracy no me hunyinde we have not fully adopted democracy sankaye. If we have fully adopted it sankaye benya no hu mfaso anansunsu adoni ye hwede odo abato a yesanko nkrasema wotum wo kire hwana adwende osimisi onzi hianodo na yɛmfa to ne nhyɛ ne sa na ɔmfa nyɛ adwuma but nnipa no kɛtena hɔ wie a nhyehyɛeɛ a ɛhia ne yɛahyehyɛ dɛ yɛn nyinaa yɛagye atom dɛ wɔmfa nyɛ adwuma nnipa no ɔmboa na wɔmfa dɛm nhyehyɛeɛ no nyɛ adwuma ɔhyɛ dɛ democracy no a yɛn nyinaa yɛakyerɛ nyɛ no adwene no wɔmfa no nyɛ bio sɛ ɔba national issues bi ɔwɔ dɛ wɔdescend for example member of parliament ɔwɔ dɛ wɔkɔ discuss national issue wɔkɔ hyehyɛ mmerɛ biara ɔwɔ dɛ ɔtum ɔba bɛhyia assemblyfo no nyinaa na wɔn nyinaa wɔkyerɛ wɔn adwene assemblyfo no so sɔfo emu dɛ eba methodist a before de yɛbɔkɔ circuit meeting no society ne ahyia anaa the local ne ahyia we were dwendwen ho the same issue now also was called circuit meeting circuit is called diocese nti obodu connection na chede everybody that matters obi ana adwenkyerɛ was a ye nyina yɛre yɛnimu dɛm na ɔwɔ danka ɔyɛ iso wɔto aba ma mp ni wi a na ɔkɔtena hɔ a bibi nya ɔwɔ dɛ ɔbɛ consult na ɔgye hɛn adwene na wɔdze kɔ na wɔ make input na yɛto aba ni wi a yɛ hu ni bio so we are not allowing democracy to take its full course na yɛnya ho nsonsoado that is what is disturbing us.
All right, thank you point well made. Peter, obi susu say democracy is good but we are not implementing it to its fullest.
Okasa na me ne ya adwen esan say emra ye share discussion ase no me ka kire wo say ekwan a tetefo no won mo de democracy ba ye fa so ekutaye no enye no na ye adwuma enye no and I've ma church mu ama am de do abibiri mu ha from Athens to abibiri mu ha ahindi ye fa nye adwuma ete me ka kire wo say ye kase ye de ye adwuma bra anka me na wotie ekura na anka se be ka fra obi adidi ame ana bi nua ika say adidija ana ma amuna obako foko du word ne nsa bomu a obi nya bi enni ne nko na edi ama kaka we nyina say anka democracy abo na
kunu of rephobia or one cry here. Mr. Fem, can
yes, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm Sam.
The name is Sam.
I'm glad. Yes, I can hear you. I'm glad. Yes, Sam.
Lower your volume and speak through your phone.
Discussing this particular issue on.
Please speak through your phone. There are some all feedback. Right. Speak through your phone. Lower your volume.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you. I say that I'm very glad that you haven't discussed. 2 months ago, I just in Ghana, saying that it's a systemic issue because Ghana, I don't see system here. I don't see proper system here. When I came, I see the government, the way the government is handling the country. The government doesn't have control over the economy of this country because I see individually, they have picked up, they have actually pushed themselves up, setting up shops, businesses all over. I don't see government development anywhere. Where you find fraction of government development at very, very small, scanty areas. So I don't see that the government actually is doing something for the nation. You see, there's so much corruption, which can be seen in all sectors. And I also don't see any government who is coming ready actually to put an agenda, one national policy. Because of corruption that our governments are doing, they don't want to push such an agenda. Because if you finish a project, and your tenor happens that you go out of power, need to come and continue. I don't see the reason why NDC and MPP issued so-called intellectuals don't have that sense of continuing what Mama did and don't have that sense to continue what that president did. So I actually see that everything is just jam up, you see. So being a balanced boy, I think that sometimes I feel Ghana must go back to the junta. We need to take it by force. I don't care where police minister is there, where soldier minister is there, because we need to come to a point whereby we actually have to hijack the democracy and actually shuffle and revamp it and put in how these guys, your hosts, are actually talking about. We have to blend it and find a very solid and concrete, a system of ruling the country. Everybody talks anyhow. The government does anything anyhow. no development, no construction. Look at your gutters. Look at your gutters. Look at your water. The whole nation of Ghana don't drink water from the tap. What is that? So which president want to come and take over again? And he has not mentioned of correcting the ills, the ordeal of water issue. Everybody drinks a water bottle. When I came here, I just see that Ghana is bogus. I'm telling you. So they need to adjust the system. The system is bad. You don't have a system in Ghana. You don't have a system in Ghana.
Right.
You don't have a system in Ghana. I see everything when I stand in Accra and I look at my dad was working during Rollins' time. And he's dead now. I'm a Barras boy. I used to see how Accra used to look like. Look at Accra. It's like a village. Accra is like a village. No street people are vendors are selling all over the place. What is the government doing for the people? You can move them from what they are selling, like using Abaye. If you move there, you have to build a very proper, constructive place, neat place for them to be. You're talking about, I'm from South. I live in South Africa. Look at South Africa. How is developed? Look at the structures there. They travel to South Africa. We see them in Sandton all the time coming to enjoy. They come there. The authorities, they come there. Sometimes they take girlfriends and all those places, and we meet those girls who live with those ministers. If you want to arrest them, we were going to arrest them and point that, Minister, you are from Ghana. We know you. We know what you're doing here. You have to go back there and build a better hospital as you see in South Africa. Build it in Ghana. Why don't you do so? Why don't you do so?
Yeah, thank you, Sam.
See,
Sam, thank you so
so
much.
Ghana is just a bogus nation that we have to
Sam,
we have to revamp.
Thank you so much. We know you are so angry with the system. Peter, so when you gonna just a returning about we South Africa.
Because South Africa would do just 1 month.
Okay.
Because Polokwane.
Okay.
Me see what airport or no me first me fight.
Who are?
Because me first me fight.
Oh yeah, only one air fight.
I first obi be said bia answer my bom because dem ko hunu ye e wo mind be so the only thing I mean
I'll purchase all back Ghana and I shall say we fight. Because I say
and say me ko no be free South Africa be do airport or no na first me fight because the only thing South Africa many enje wontia maybe that be why men san ko bi for security.
Okay, my say your friend for back. Kwesi. Oh, Kwesi.
Yes.
You're watching.
Yeah, twice.
Aye, go.
In fact, has democracy failed us? No. Have we failed democracy? Yes.
I like so the restructuring of the question.
Are different. I think that we, the people, have failed democracy. I say this because democracy is being practiced elsewhere and it is working. The systems are working elsewhere. So why is it not working here? You see, when my brothers there are talking, they are all talking about development of individuals. You see, the way systems are supposed to work, the systems are worked by the people. So if the people are failing, then the systems are failing. If the systems are failing, the democracy is failing. And you can't put that on democracy. The failure is on our part. How many times have we not heard? I mean, you are talking about chieftaincy and all that. How many times have we not heard that people are dying based on who is to rule next and all that? That system can't work even now. We hear about the Boko war, tribal war and all that based on who is supposed to inherit the throne and all that. We don't want to go back then because even that will bring much chaos than what we are seeing now. Democracy is ideal. It is something that can work. The systems here are not working because the people who have been placed to work the system are failing. So has democracy failed Africa? No. Have we failed democracy? Yes.
Thank you.
Big time.
Thank you so much. Yes, Peter.
Sir, offer otwatwe. Me na ya nya adwen. I don't want to go into boku issues.
Okay.
Matana hopen. Ma ye mfa boku ahensem emfa emma. De emma boku ensem ba ye hwe hohwe. Bando ho atem adanfo asantefo fantefo omu hwan na hwetu e wa ahensem ho.
Yenya abeku. What's up?
Good morning, Sofo.
Morning, sorry.
Tia Abegafo. That has democracy failed us? I think, sir, it has really not failed us. We have failed democracy.
Okay.
We couldn't work with democracy. The Methodist, if you look at the Methodist system, that is the best form of democracy. Even the presiding cannot do certain things. It will have to come from
Conference.
Before it gets to presiding. It is a quarterly meeting. Let's say make a decision. Society as a prime minister, ultimate change, And in that, before you do quarterly meeting, now society, organizational report about society, I might discuss with society, and some quarterly meeting, I discuss. So before the decision will be made at quarterly meeting, you will see that the ordinary church member has had an input, because that is where the report is coming from. But the idea as a mind see, you don't come back for us to discuss anything to the top. Once it comes to the top, then you make the decision for and align to your political party. Then this year, say this year. Me, I'm the constituency, the other way crap, because we are NDC, our MP now, where the party is going, where you go. And it doesn't help us. Every decision is taken at the top. But even with the Methodists, when they want to have their way, the top people want to have their way, they will always have it. But at least it is better. And that is most of it will be taken from the town. The top people can maneuver their way around it, but at least majority of the decisions will be taken from the town.
Yeah.
The amount for Akuma Tom, they are able to work with the system, but
Shandov, has the media helped to fail democracy?
Yes, the media has helped to fail democracy. Simply because of the regime we are in, we call it a pluralistic media environment. That is to say, you can have multiple media houses. Somewhere last year, the School of Communication Studies, the University of Ghana, commissioned a report to assess media in Ghana. One of the findings that they came out with was the fact that most media houses in Ghana are owned and controlled by businessmen and individuals who have links to political parties. Okay, so because of that, the media that originally is supposed to be independent is not being independent, because at the end of the day...
I've gotten Peter.
Right.
Peter, you have a brother in the studio. You are calling from Kumasi. Peter.
Hello.
Yes, Peter, you're here. Who from Kumasi?
So, listen, Peter. As a grandpa, can say, Mimi, who say, yeah, man, or a sorry, if you man.
Okay. Sorry, no fairly democracy.
If you say, so, make me cross a fairly man
or mine, okay.
Yeah, it may cross a Methodist. Now, the man who say, Nyanko Pokrad, Mrab, man, you pass any part in this sono, any part any so. And to the Mram any part, it's a little sono adding, Emma and my mediator, I see Christo. Every year be far home, and no boy, Emma. It's me, Abbe Christo, for a dim run, be a dim run so. At least a sorry for empire, you're more solid, a more pie my mind. You're quite sorry, and you said, you near Bayer as you to me, Gina could be 1 hour, 30 minutes. It will be bomb by your mamma.
But method is the liturgy. Method is Peter, method is the liturgy. Peter Utie, method is the liturgy. You were a whole paragraph. A year on mine no can call in a sumdrie. Brano kwesi that divine service be a liturgies be a boss of me a bomb pie. And yes, I'm pie no now patchery. And now they came on 1 hour, 2 hours.
You see, you can get breathing your pipe when you jam my mind. You jam my mind. 1 week you run, you jam my mind. Yes, I am there. You see, I mean, when you say, yeah, every California, the Yakufa, other forces in Bina, Yediel, Etiamano, except Christopher, you bring it to my mind, no money because we son.
Yo, that's the name of the better just say, method is as a family, the Yen Nimuna, ye di one dance here. There are some societies that they are noted to declare in a week, sometimes declare in a month, sometimes declare in a year. And by year bo amount man, no more sure. You January mu EMR. Edia, sorry, me 1 week fasting and prayer. And one of the things that featured prominently was prayer for the nation, prayer for the nation. Inti bopa. Many of refo be a fit takorade. Charles, Yama Kwaba. Charles. Bem say Charles, so Shandov, you are making a point.
Yes, I was making the point about the media having been a contributory factor to the failure of democracy. And I was emphasizing the fact that most media houses are owned by private businessmen and individuals who are connected to political parties. And the political parties always want to maintain a particular narrative. So ordinarily, the media is supposed to be independent, but because the paymasters are not independent, now it affects the content.
Okay,
and
the
the
fireman
output.
has come. Fireman, say they will see if you can. And council with you, yet you.
I saw democracy no call meaning Abebwa.
Okay.
Abebwa papa because first you want to be nyakonya say won kasa Wesley TV so to express your view. But why am be so fast so they abusing democracy no any problem? How can you come and sit on social media to insult the fantastic president? Which is very bad. In the Yetumina Quenya ne did so before them. And it is me fireman to so. Indeed, to me no yefa measures and phantom. So obi be obedi deep we are temuno. Yenchi sa nipa no. You can doing the professional way, but don't tax somebody's personality.
Okay.
Oh, Omampeni, a dumo where we here to me in the Umodimon Sweni, but don't insult the person because democracy na bebwapa. It's the Africans in India to me in the information into because I must swear any you what you know some of
no
fire.
Yo, any more fire. Okay, so I'll pick 𝗵𝗺 from Wenchi as my last caller. Then I can go to Shandov to give me some thoughts. 𝗵𝗺, what do you mean? You refi Wenchi for what to say?
Oh, Wenchi for where pa?
Yet you.
You are a pedia mechia, impanu for a was studio.
Okay.
And Tibiana, where be said. Media no afeli democracy anarese and there are some kasiya pies ubiaji too. One you will be more honor party back once na agenda no promote. Ntia basana e maya ye ya eko. Utimu say obia ye bone pa wo party so na ye defend no because party no media house or one aligned to that particular party. Yet also democracy no say jama asoja for anka be say be create in the damase so for yan.
Yeah, that's a part of so for 𝗵𝗺 Ukraine. Shandov, so let's wrap up with your conclusion. Near for Peter so now yes.
Yes, I was making the point that the media has been a contributory factor to the downs in our democracy in the fact that ordinarily the media is supposed to be a referee, an independent arbiter, okay? Somebody who is, or an institution or an establishment that is in the middle. But as we have it now, most of the media houses, or a good number of them in Ghana, are being controlled by private business owners and individuals who are connected to political parties. The end result is that they cannot be very strong and firm in their content and in their productions because when you try to go so hard I mean, those are the Home of Affairs would eventually, come for you. And therefore, because that business unit, the owners wouldn't want it to collapse. They wouldn't want their media empires to collapse. They are normally treading very cautiously. So there is no, for this one, I can say I've been around for quite a while. There's no media house that is truly and properly independent. No, there's no.
Except WTV. We are properly and truly independent.
The influence is not always political.
Wesleyan influence. It's a biblical influence.
No, that one too may not be fair. Maybe the time will come. Okay. The acid test will come.
Okay.
So it's Wesleyan, it's Christian. We can really judge the independence when now the Methodist Church is involved in an issue.
Okay.
And now the media outfit has to comment on it. That is when we'll see whether, So by and large, but you see,
Lord, lead us not into temptation. We won't get there.
But you see, normally the truth is that nobody can. We all, nobody's neutral. Okay, you by all means pander to a side, have faith, but that should not, be the predominant element in media practice. Everybody has a bias to an extent, but it shouldn't be the predominant manifestation in our media space now. It's just a matter of observing how some particular portals report stories and all of that. Realize that even the referees have been compromised. So as for the media, it needs a complete transformation. I mean, as for that one, it's a big deal.
We'll have, producer tells me we're going to have time, don't know, possibly next week, and discuss the media and democracy, the media and politics, where we can have some of the examples for those of you who go on the field, what happens in the field. But Peter, way forward. Democracy in the way forward, in conclusion.
I think the way forward there, and the ensign enko eshi. You be a yafum. Na yentre ye ho. Na yenyi sa osuahunu ana etrimopo aida to ye team say sabiu maybe di oman so a na emu arodode enkwa ebe mechefa ene mabusua ene menamfofo dia na mma se obi biara o oman ni mu no ye becha manaso no so amas because ye chairman aso bi so anya adidie nko a eba se ye kire ya adwene so a sabiu ni ono so te otwenbewiate ni ono te anuma wapam ni ono te ahemfum o te eboku o te ahemfa no ono so na adwen so ye mfa na ebia se asem bi wo mu a eya ye mfa na ne enye no ye nto enchene na oman no entimi enye oman na eba ne saa so a ebeyi koro no ene proye ene kitasese so a de efiri ho because sense minimu se bi o mi firi ho mpo na wo ba wo mfa me kwan bi so a de amanya mate wo no ne nyina no ebehwere ene ma obi bedi oman so na se ma obi position bi a na sika obenya na ewo se da no foto mu no wata akoto aburuchire de me yare se otam koto ho a ne asan ekọ se ekogi loan na sa sika no a ne sa sika na de ekoto wo no ano a ne besa bobo ano e de man se loan na de man se loan na oman no sofo no so no ya sa yomu de discount o omo ko e contract omo ko pai kwan se ye discount ma wo de a and the contractor no be free yema mu ha na ono be di ekire obeye kwan no wasa tam sika no esa de ko ne esa ko tue sika no asa tue enho e de interest amom enema oman no mu ayebasa no se me besi famu so a menua ena no ya wo de betena ha no me ma ayem se me chiai me krom hene e ma me kodu fie nka me anya asem esa se sister as just no ye duama minya hoden ade betena ma boni
o betena ha won chia no
nti me srew ma me sima ba ko pe
chia no onu kra na nya no ma odware besen chia no ya ma mre
Grace how your midwife for Bojo polyclinic and then the young for
hwe nanim o TV ne so na chia no
kafra I say you mate Ohima Grace with us anope me tia won Bojo polyclinic for nyina midwife sa mo ho Lina Beatrice and then Gifty mo nyina anope mamu chia sronko
Yeah, that's it. The shand of the unchia beloved behind
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Crowd.
Yaman to was a
kakra.
Oh, quite jalami.
Musuimu. And na minu shand of person where they oh yeah no. Nemu answer fi be kwa wie no. Na ye de ahoma no aso na. Na wa be say me a metie ya wo soro na wa soro wo da wa da yi.
Wasumujo.
Wasumujo me.
It go be. Ajefo eda say yem brothers Peter Wonders otra de ewo AUCC na face so yem brother Shandof Pakwesi cheye bia no si ni papa Macedonia society ana ono omosom we Methodist ni mapa pa no si hey very soon mo bete nka on our midday news any other news bulletins ye de bremo ye twa ye ho aba ye ba ye ko agoprama so say no ye free eye agro ni mu na so ya ye wia ye ho ehwe sports na kakra ye de cheche. So let's go straight to sports. Agro also there wa so there eja